Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're talking about monochromatic color scheme cards. Color plays an important role when creating cards, and it is typically the first thing that I think about when I start working on a new card making project. Now, I often struggle with finding and also using new color combinations on my handmade cards, and I know many of you feel the same. For this video, I challenged myself to step outside my comfort zone and use monochromatic color schemes for my projects. Now, what does monochromatic mean? Plainly speaking, a card made using various shades of one color is monochromatic. You can use any color to create a monochromatic color scheme. For example, adding white to red creates pink, and then adding black to red creates maroon. So then you have a monochromatic color scheme of pink, red, and maroon. When working with colored cardstock, it is very easy to create monochromatic cards, as colored cardstock is typically available in many beautiful shades. I'm going to use Spellbinders Color Essential cardstock from my stash, and also the new Spellbinders Floral Reflection collection for the card ideas I have for you in this video. I'm using 4 shades of cardstock for each card, plus adding gold color as an accent. I encourage you to use whatever cardstock shades you have in your stash, whatever cardstock manufacturer you have in your stash, and also whatever dyes you have in your stash. These ideas and these techniques work with many different products, and I want you to feel free to use whatever you have on hand. Now here's a look at the dyes that I'm using for my cards. I have 2 sets on this magnetic sheet. There's a floral reflection set, that's the floral set, and then the essential floral reflection, that's the nested shapes set. I'm actually not using it, but because it goes so well together with the other set, that's why I have it here and that's why I'm showing it. Now, the largest nested shape is meant to provide a background for the florals. If you cut 2 floral clusters, you can have them nest inside that largest shape. There's also a solid glimmer piece done in the same shape to use together with these products or separately. It coordinates with the 3rd largest die in this die set. Now, I'm not using the glimmer shape in this video either. I just wanted to mention it and show it to you. The Floral Reflections collection has many other products, but I'm only using a few in this video. So if we cut the background piece and then add 2 floral clusters, we end up with something looking like this. Very beautiful. Now there's also a scalloped circle die included in this floral reflection die set, and this one is meant to be used with the stamp set that is also a part of this collection called Floral Reflection Sentiments. The stamp set has several mini sentiments that fit inside that circle nicely, and it also has several larger sentiments. Now, I will not be using any of these sentiments for my cards. I will replace them with the wax seals to try something different. To create a background for my cards, I'm using a new Tile Reflection 3D embossing folder. This is also part of this collection. This folder design is beautiful, and it gives very dimensional, tile-like result on paper. I've shared a video previously talking about Spellbinders 3D embossing folders, and I have it linked right here and also in the video description below if you'd like to learn more. Now, my first card is using the following color combination. I have mahogany. This is the background color. It is the darkest. Next, I will use crimson, phone booth, and poppy field. And all of these are Spellbinders colors. But like I said, I encourage you to use whatever you have in your stash. This 3D embossing folder is large enough to emboss half a letter sheet of cardstock. I'm making an A2 card. It measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So I have a lot of room here in terms of how and where I want to position the panel inside the folder. I'm also using a new and improved platinum die cutting and embossing machine from Spellbinders. Now, this basically is the same machine as the one released before, but it features a redesigned, sleek look, and it also includes the new universal blades system that is needed for these new 3D embossing folders. Now, the machine has a new Spellbinders logo on the front. It is done in pretty white and silver colors, or platinum colors, I should say. And it is basically the same powerful machine that Spellbinders had before. I also have a new tool-in-one done in white. This is also a redesign, so the same wonderful tool, but done in sleek white. Now, I don't have the Platinum 6 in the old color to compare the two machines, but I do have the large Platinum machine in the old color to show you the two machines side by side. So you can see the color is different here, and then the logo, of course, is different as well. So like I said, it's the same powerful machine, but it now comes in a different color. Functionally, it has a new universal plates system included in the package. There's also an exclusive die set in the package as well. So if you are looking to update your old die cutting machine, this new one from Spellbinders is a great option. It comes in both the 6-inch size and the 8.5-inch size. I personally have and use both sizes. I typically use the large 8.5 machine. I have it stationed permanently on my desk. That's the one that I do most of my die cutting and most of my embossing on. But for video filming, I use the smaller 6-inch machine just because it fits better in my video frame. So if you aren't sure which machine to get, look at the amount of space that you have in your desk. If you have a lot of room, do get the bigger machine. But if you have a little bit less room in your craft space, the smaller machine is just as good and is just as powerful. Now let's go back to our cards. So here's a look at the embossed background panel. I love this design. I love the depth. I love the variation of depth and how neatly and cleanly it embossed my cardstock. And I actually did not even have to spray it with water. I do have a video about using water to enhance the look of the 3D embossed panels. I have that video linked right here and in the description below. I'm also going to do some die cutting for my cards. And for that, I picked up new pink extended cutting plates from Spellbinders. You can see that these are neon pink, and the idea behind these is to help you easily find them on your desk. They're so bright and so vibrant, you will not lose them in your craft space and all of your creative mess. Now, these plates work with the Spellbinders machines. They work with both the new universal plate system and also with the old plates system. So here I have my cardstock selection. These are the colors that I mentioned previously. So crimson, phone booth, and poppy field. I'm going to use the flower dies to cut flowers for that floral reflection cluster. So here I have the various flower parts and layers, and I'm cutting them from the 3 shades of cardstock to build my card. The die set that I'm using is the Floral Reflection. It features 1 cluster and separate dies to add on top of that cluster to color it. I die cut the cluster from mere gold cardstock and also 1 more layer from the same color cardstock that I used for the background of my card. So the embossed panel, the mahogany cardstock. I adhered the gold die cut onto the mahogany one to make the gold die cut sturdier. You don't have to do this. I just like to double some layers up, especially if my die cuts are dainty, and this die cut is very dainty. I added foam adhesive squares from the back of the cluster as I was planning to foam mount it onto the background. Next, I added dots of glue from the back and added the tiny red die cuts. These look like little beautiful flower buds. And then I foam mounted the cluster onto my background. And the idea here is to have 2 of these half clusters mirrored to create 1 full cluster for a card. Now, I'm not using that floral reflection nested shape here. I don't want to use it because I don't want it to cover any of that beautiful embossing. So I'm skipping that shape and I'm just using the floral clusters here. Next, I add the rest of the flowers, filling this die cut in. Now, this is very easy to do. I simply vary the 3 shades of red when adding the flowers onto the background. I added the second cluster, and that created a very beautiful floral shape for my card. Now, the way this die set is designed, you have a little bit of room in the middle or in the center to place your sentiment. The collection includes that specialty sentiment set that I showed you previously, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to add a wax seal instead. I talked about wax seals a little bit in my previous video when I shared an unboxing and the first look at the Spellbinders wax seal kit. And I'm so fascinated with these seals, I want to add them onto everything I make. I have my wax seal starter kit here. I'm going to light up my tea light candle and add my spoon on top. The spoon still has some wax from my previous crafting session, and to clean it, I need to warm it up so that it becomes loose. Right now, the wax is hard, and then I can wipe it clean using a paper towel. Now, you do need to be careful as the spoon gets hot, so be careful not to burn yourself. Now, I have red wax beads ready for the seal, and I'm going to use 5 beads. In my previous video, I mentioned that 4 or 3 is enough, and that holds true if you want a smaller seal. But I want to make a slightly larger seal for this card, so I'm going to use 5 beads. I also have the exclusive seal design that comes with the starter kit. While the wax is melting, I wanted to show you a few other products that I added to my stash to use with these wax seals. So I have the Spellbinders Card Shop Essentials Hemp Cord in white. It comes in other colors too, but I wanted to use this white one for these cards. I also have the metallic markers from Marvi Cheetah, and these are some amazing markers, and you can use them with your wax seals to highlight the seal design. Takes a little bit of practice, but that gives beautiful results. Now, it doesn't work for every seal design, especially if the design is very small, if the writing is very small. Here, for example, this congrats seal became a bit too hard to read after I added the highlighting, but overall, it still looks amazing. I waited for the wax to melt, and now I'm ready to pour it and add my seal on top. Now, this is the most satisfying part, watching the wax pour onto a surface. I've added my seal stamp, and I'm going to let it sit a little bit to let the wax cool off. So here I continue with my monochromatic color scheme by also using the same color wax to embellish my card. While the spoon is still hot, I'm using a paper towel to clean the wax. I will be melting a different color next, and I don't want to have any color contamination. Next, I'm going to add the hemp cord onto my card. I cut a pretty long piece and I wrapped it around my fingers to create like a loopy cluster. I added a little bit of glue onto the card. I'm using the Barely Arts glue. I placed the cord on top and added more glue to secure it. I'm going to let it sit a little bit and let the glue dry. And I also still need to wait for the wax to cool off. While I'm waiting, I have one more product that I want to show you. I have these new fashion dots from Spellbinders in color Oyster. I'm going to use these to embellish my cards. So this is another color that I'm adding to my project together with the hemp cord. I'm adding a little bit of white. This oyster is a very pretty color. It looks like, almost looks like pearls, very elegant and classy. I added the dots onto the card and they make very beautiful flower centers. Next, I removed the seal stamp from my wax, and now it looks beautiful. I'm going to use the marker to highlight the text in the seal design. Now, shake the marker well before using it. I have already started this marker. There are instructions on the marker, so when you first get it, you need to follow the instructions on the marker, shake it, and get it started. So be sure to follow the instructions, and next, carefully highlight the seal design. Now, if you mess up, you can remelt your seal and pour it again, and then try again. I messed up a little bit here, but I went with it anyway. Now, I did try to use a Q-tip to wipe away the excess gold ink. I did manage to get most of it off, but not all. It looked fine to me, so I kept it as is. But if you do mess up and if you don't like your seal, you can remelt the wax and reuse it. Next, I used a thin foam square and added it to the back of the seal to adhere my seal onto the card. And ta-da! It looks amazing. I love how the seal adds the perfect touch to this card. I also made one more card in pink. For this one, I followed the same principle. I used poppy red for the background color and then wild berry Dahlia, and Pink Sand for the 3 pink shades. I went with fuchsia wax to create a pink seal for this card. When I started adding the highlights to this seal, I didn't like it at all. It was coloring the letters too much, making them very hard to read. So I cut this seal up and I re-melted it. This was my first time trying it and it worked. So I'm happy to report that you can remelt your seals if you're not happy with it and not waste any of your wax. While that was re-melting, I added hemp cord to my purple card. For this one, I used plum cardstock for the background, and next royal amethyst, lilac blossom, and purple mist for the other colors. Now, you can replicate this card design numerous times using all the different colors. I made 4 cards playing with my most favorite colors, but imagine all of the other monochromatic color schemes you can come up with. I think the possibilities are really endless. I mean, you have yellow, pink, orange, red, green, blue, teal. The list can go on. So there's so much to try and play with. Now, I also planned the wax beads for the purple card. I used 3 blue beads and cut up one of the red seals that I wasn't happy with. So let's assume I'm also using 3 red beads. I also re-poured the pink wax and added my wax seal stamp on top. I did not clean the spoon this time. I had some leftover fuchsia wax, and I figured it would work fine with the blue and red. I wanted to create a purple wax color. I didn't have any purple on hand, and with a little bit of color theory knowledge, I made my own custom color by mixing red and blue. So you can easily make your own wax colors by mixing various colors of wax. It might seem intimidating at first. I really was not sure if that would work, but it did work. Once the wax melted in my spoon, I stirred it using the pokey tool from my tool-in-one until the red and the blue mixed, creating a beautiful purple color. Success! I was able to mix a custom color to match the color of my card. I scribbled the gold marker off on a piece of scrap paper a little bit. I had a bit too much gold ink there, and I didn't want that gold ink to run too much on my seal. I highlighted the seal with gold, and I love the result. I once again used a thin foam square and added the seal onto my pink card. I also finished the purple card in the same way, and here, by the way, you can see how much bigger this seal is. This one was made using roughly 6 beads. I think I prefer the bigger seals, at least for now. They look fuller and better to me. So this finishes this video looking at the monochromatic color schemes for our handmade cards. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.